And an absolutely vicious campaign rematch between President Biden and former President Trump is already taking shape, all with enormous stakes for the country and the world. The two men held dueling events last night in the battleground state of Georgia.
But we all know Donald Trump sees a different America, an American story of resentment, revenge, and retribution. We see a future where we defend the basic freedoms, not take them away. We see a future where we reward work, not just wealth. A future for all Americans. A presidency for all Americans. So join me. Get out the vote. Vote, vote, vote.
For President Biden, the event was part of a far more aggressive campaign as he tries to take on one of his biggest vulnerabilities, his age of 81, and tries to rebuild a fraying coalition and reverse his sagging poll numbers. The former president, meanwhile, took to the rally stage with one of his fiercest congressional allies, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who had engaged in a tense exchange over immigration with Biden during the State of the Union last week, a speech Trump attacked as he ridiculed Biden's stutter.
2 nights ago, we all heard Crooked Joe's angry, dark, hate-filled rant of a State of the Union address. Didn't it bring us together? Remember, he said, I'm going to bring the country together. I'm going to bring it together. It's not an age thing. It's a competence thing.
All right, let's break this all down with my great panel this morning. CNN's Melanie Zanona, Isaac Arnsdorf from The Washington Post, and the Wall Street Journal's Catherine Lucy. Good morning to you all. It's been a busy weekend again, which is good for us to talk about, a lot to digest, including how the Biden campaign there's clearly a new phase in this campaign. Post-State of the Union, a more precise messaging operation, a new multi-million-dollar ad campaign, and just stepping into higher gear. Look at what their plans are. Over 100 new battleground offices they announced that they're opening. They're hiring 350 new staff members. They put out this $30 million ad buy release. They're going to unveil it over the course of the next 6 weeks, put it all across media. Catherine, give us a sense of what the strategy is inside the Biden campaign as they move into this new phase.
Yeah, they really saw the State of the Union as kind of the kickoff, right, of the general election, post-Super Tuesday. They're pumping money into ads, into these battleground states. And that's really where you're going to see the fight, is in these states, as you saw the president out in Georgia and in Michigan. He's going to be out in other states in the coming week. And they're really trying to do a couple things, but I think two key things. One is they're trying to address the age thing head on. You see in this ad, they're trying to say, look, age is experience. I'm able to do things for you because of my age, because of my background. And then they're really trying to draw this very sharp contrast with Donald Trump and talk about how they see his policies as dangerous. You saw the president saying he'd be a dictator, that he's going to threaten your freedoms. And they're going to talk a lot about key freedoms like voting rights and abortion.
Yeah, and look, we saw that you mentioned the ad that came out just yesterday. They announced this as part of this massive ad buy and taking on the issues that voters say they're concerned about, the president's age.
Look, I'm not a young guy. That's no secret. But here's the deal. I understand how to get things done for the American people. For 4 years, Donald Trump tried to pass an infrastructure law, and he failed. I got it done. Donald Trump took away the freedom of women to choose. I'm determined to make Roe v. Wade the law of the land again. Donald Trump believes the job of the president is to take care of Donald Trump. I believe the job of the president is to fight for you.
Can we do one more take?
Look, I'm very young, energetic, and handsome. What the hell am I doing this for?
And look, this came right after Trump Super PAC put out an ad going after Joe Biden's age, even though Trump is just 4 years younger.
We can all see Joe Biden's weakness. If Biden wins, can he even survive till 2029? The real question is, can we?
Can he even survive? Woof! How do you see this playing out?
Yeah, and the Trump campaign followed up and basically put those two ads together. They took the clip from the beginning of the Biden ad of him saying, I get that I'm old, and then all those clips of him showing his age. And the Biden campaign argument here is basically there are worse things than being old. and drawing that contrast with Trump. And it's interesting to hear the way that Trump talks about it as well when he says, this isn't about age is just a number. This is about something else, because they're very aware, and Trump himself is very aware, that he's not that far behind Biden.
Exactly. And meanwhile, Trump is, as we know, has so many legal issues that are going to be a major factor as we head into the campaign season. They hope it's not. They want to delay, of course, those criminal trials. They may be successful. We'll see how all this ultimately plays out. But then he's got the civil issues in too, as well as the $91 million bond that he had to post on Fridays. He appealed that judgment in the case against him in the E. Jean Carroll case in New York. He was found liable for both sexual abuse and defamation in 2022. And defamation, just remember that, because last night, Trump at this rally brought it up, and we'll see if that leads to any legal issues for him.
I just posted a $91 million bond, 91 million, on a fake story, totally made up story. I got sued for defamation. That's where it starts. And this is Democrat operatives. These are all her lawyers, a big Democrat operative. This woman is not a believable person.
Okay, let's just remind. He owes her, is decided, $83.3 million for reputational repair, emotional harm, and punitive damages for malicious statements. And he says this. He just can't help himself.
Yeah, and one thing I was looking out for was whether he would shift his message in any way now that we are in more of a general election rematch, because this was so much part of his message in the primary. He was using these court cases to paint himself as a victim and a martyr, and it worked, at least with the GOP base. But I think it's another question when it comes to a general election. How much are you going to want to bring up these court trials when you're on the campaign trail? Even he is going to have to juggle them in terms of the calendar, but it's not something that I'm sure his team wants him to be talking about all that much.
And will the Biden team even touch this? You know, especially they're not. Why?
I mean, so far they haven't. The president has not wanted to go there. You could see this from, outside groups or Democrats, but I think the Biden team really wants to focus on the policy contrast, and that's really what you're going to see is them continue to make this argument about here's what another Donald Trump term would look like compared to what another Joe Biden term would look like.
It was notable, though, that Biden was campaigning miles away from Fulton County, where Donald Trump is facing criminal charges. So it does seem like they're trying to acknowledge it in some ways, even if they're not addressing it.
Yeah.
And we're seeing them just side by side more, right? We saw them both down at the border also. So you're going to see more of these moments where they're thrust together.
And meanwhile, the Biden team is dealing with, and Trump really, the threat of third-party candidates, the independent candidacy of RFK Jr., qualifying for a pair of battleground states, actually Michigan in particular. That one is going to be a big battle in November. In Nevada, New Hampshire, and Hawaii, the campaign says they met the signature threshold to qualify. In Michigan, South Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona, they say they've met enough. The Super PAC also says they've met enough to qualify. How big of a, who does RFK Jr. pose a bigger threat to, Trump or Biden?
This is an ongoing debate. Both campaigns have obviously tested it in polling, and they can make arguments one way or the other, and you can see the thinking kind of shift when Trump will attack him or not attack RFK Jr. But we've all seen in elections going back to 2000 how a few thousand votes to a third-party candidate can tip a very close state.
Yeah, and we'll see if that happens again.